You think Mount Hood looks peaceful from the highway, don't you? A perfect white pyramid floating above Oregon's forests. But on May 12th, 1986, that beautiful mountain turned into a frozen hell for a group of high school kids who just wanted to prove something to themselves. What started as a proud school tradition ended with body bags sliding down the snow. 9 never came home. This is the story of the deadliest climbing disaster ever to hit American teenagers, and the tiny mistakes that buried them alive. You're about to meet 15 bright, eager students from Oregon Episcopal School, some barely old enough to drive. Every year, the school sent its 10th graders up Hood as the final challenge of a program called Base Camp. The idea was noble: throw kids into the wilderness, teach them they're tougher than they think, force them to look out for each other when things get hard. The man in charge was Father Thomas Gorman. Everyone called him Dr. Tom, a 42-year-old priest with a PhD, a warm smile, and a reputation for inspiring absolute trust. Parents handed their children over without a second thought. After all, he'd led dozens of these trips. What could go wrong? The night of May 11th, Mother's Day. The yellow school bus rolled out just before midnight. Inside, backpacks clattered, teenagers laughed nervously, and the adults up front checked gear lists one last time. Ice axes, 1 sleeping bag, 1 shovel, 2 first aid kits. Good enough, they figured. At Timberline Lodge, they met the 2 professional guides who would join them: Ralph Summers, calm and experienced, and an outward bound instructor named Denise. 20 souls in total. They stepped off the bus into crisp, starlit air at 3 a.m. on the 12th, boots crunching through calf-deep snow, headlamps bobbing like fireflies. The climb begins beautifully. The sky is clear, the temperature almost mild. You can feel the excitement. Kids whispering about reaching the summit by lunch, maybe even beating last year's group. The mountain feels welcoming, almost kind. But that's when things got strange. Weather reports had been screaming warnings for days. A monster Pacific storm barreling in, hurricane-force winds, 0 visibility by afternoon. Dr. Tom heard them and decided they could still beat the weather to the top. A small oversight? Maybe. But that single choice would echo for decades. Dawn creeps in, pink and gold. The group is making good time, kicking steps into firm snow, laughing, taking photos. Then the first doubts appear. 15-year-old Hillary Spray doubles over with stomach cramps. Her mom, Sharon, wants to take her down. Leaders urge them to keep going. You're almost there. Push through it. Hillary refuses. Something in her gut, literally, tells her to turn back. She and her mom disappear down the slope. You'll see later why that stomach ache saved both their lives. A little higher, at Silcock's hut, 2 more girls feel cramps and exhaustion. They're allowed to descend. The route behind them is still clear, the track's easy to follow. Another girl turns around. Then the outward-bound instructor bows out with early snow blindness. The group shrinks to 13, but the mood is still determined. The summit is so close, and then the sky falls. In less than 2 hours, the weather flips from calm to apocalyptic. Winds explode to 70, 80, 100 miles an hour. Snow lashes sideways. Visibility drops to the length of your ice axe. What the kids didn't know was that Mount Hood sits right in the firing line of Pacific storms. They don't creep up on you. They detonate overhead. Veteran climbers call it the Hood Wink. 1 minute you can see Portland, the next minute you can't see your own hand. At 11,000 feet, Ralph Summers, the pro guide, finally convinces Dr. Tom they have to turn around. But it's already too late. The tracks they made on the way up are gone, erased by drifting snow. The compass is useless in the whiteout. You can't tell up from down. And the cold. God, the cold starts chewing through gloves, through jackets, through flesh. They descend a few hundred feet and the first real horror hits. 15-year-old Patrick McGinnis, skinny, a distance runner with almost no body fat, starts slurring his words. His legs buckle. He just wants to lie down and sleep. You know what that means, don't you? Stage 3 hypothermia. Your brain shuts off the alarms because freezing to death starts to feel like warmth. The group circles around him in terror. Senior Susan McClave, one of the strongest climbers, strips off her jacket and boots in sub-zero wind and crawls into the single sleeping bag with Patrick, pressing her body heat into him. Someone boils snow on the tiny stove, dissolves lemon drops for sugar. They're trying everything, but precious minutes, hours, are bleeding away, and the storm is only getting angrier. This delay would cost them everything. When they finally move again, Dr. Tom, now almost certainly hypothermic himself, takes a compass bearing that's 20 degrees off. Instead of heading straight down the south side towards safety, the group veers sideways across the mountain's steep eastern face, right into glacier territory laced with hidden crevasses big enough to swallow a bus. Ralph Summers spots the first crack in the snow and yells for everyone to stay in his exact footsteps. They skirt one crevasse, then run into another. Night is coming. Winds are clocked at 103 miles per hour, higher up. Category 2 hurricane force. There's only one option left: dig in or die. At 8,200 feet, with darkness swallowing the mountain, Ralph and Dr. Tom start carving a snow cave with a single shovel. It takes an hour of frantic work. The finished shelter is barely 6 by 8 feet on the floor and 4 feet high. Room for maybe 6 people lying cheek to jowl. 13 terrified, freezing souls cram inside anyway. Knees and backs, arms pinned, breath frosting in the dark. Body heat melts the walls almost immediately. Soon the strongest kids in the middle are sitting in a pool of ice water. The tiny entrance keeps collapsing under drifting snow. They rotate someone to sit outside in the maelstrom just to kick the hole open so the rest don't suffocate. At some point, the wind rips away their only shovel and the sleeping bag Patrick was in. Gone. Just like that. Inside, oxygen thins. Panic rises. Dr. Tom can no longer count to 10. Ralph Summers realizes the leader is gone. Mentally gone. He makes the hardest call of his life. He and 17-year-old Molly Shula will try to descend alone and bring help. They crawl out into the screaming night and vanish. Against all odds, hours later they stumble into a different ski lodge miles away, half dead but alive. 11 remain buried in that snow coffin. What happened over the next 2 days inside the cave is the stuff of nightmares. The kids fight heroically to keep the entrance clear, to share the last crumbs of food, to keep each other awake, because sleep means death. But one by one, hope runs out. Late Tuesday, tiny Allison Litzenberger, because she's the smallest, wriggles out to clear the blocked airway. Aaron O'Leary and Eric Sandvik follow to help. The entrance collapses behind them. Eric tries desperately to claw his way back in. Rescuers will later find one of his boots still jammed in the snow roof. All 3 freeze to death just feet from their friends. Wednesday morning, the sky finally clears, but the damage is done. Search teams, Portland Mountain Rescue, Air Force PJs, volunteers, have been battling the same storm for days. One rescuer gets frostbite so bad, he loses fingers. A 2-ton snowcat is flipped by the wind. When the weather breaks, Mark Kelsey's team spots 2 black dots far below in White River Canyon. Allison and Aaron curled together like sleeping children. A 3rd dot higher up, Eric, collapsed, reaching for the cave he couldn't re-enter. False hope flares when a helicopter asks for warm oxygen, standard for hypothermia patients. Parents waiting at timberlines surge forward, faces alight. Then the truth crashes down. All 3 are gone, but 2 are somehow still alive inside the cave. Master Sergeant Richard Harder, cursed with 24 failed rescues, refuses to quit. Against orders, he redirects the search to a hunch. At 5:38 p.m., with the day's operation minutes from shutdown, a probe pole thunks into something hollow, frantic digging, a foul smell of unwashed bodies and death. Then, a faint moan. Brenton Clark and Giles Thompson are pulled out blinking into daylight. Core temperatures in the 70s, barely compatible with life. Giles will lose both legs to frostbite. Brenton will survive to become a doctor. The other 7 in the cave, Patrick, Susan, Tasha, Richard, Marion, Dr. Tom, and the rest, never wake up. 9 dead, 7 of them teenagers. In the aftermath, lawsuits fly, then quietly settle. The school never sends another class up hood. Survivors carry the weight in different ways. Some become healers, some live in quiet tribute. All of them forever changed. Here's the chilling truth you need to carry away. Mount Hood has now killed over 150 people. Most of them weren't beginners. Many were experienced, confident, just like Dr. Tom. The mountain doesn't care about your resume, your faith, or how much the kids believed in you. One ignored forecast, one delayed turnaround, one missing shovel, one wrong compass bearing. That's all it takes. Next time you see that perfect white pyramid glowing at sunset, remember the snow cave at 8,200 feet, where 9 people breathed their last, surrounded by friends who couldn't save them. Nature isn't cruel, she's simply indifferent. And on mountains like Hood, indifference is more than enough.